And we are live. Thank God it is Friday. I'm not going to go into it, but it's been kind of a crazy week. So really been looking forward to this. As you can tell by the thumbnail, and you see Scott right there. I got in the house, Scott from Scotch Test Dummies. But before I go on, I want to quickly say hello to everybody who's in the house. And I've already done this, but I want to increase the box a little bit. So I was saying hello to Amy earlier, and we have Dustin, D8 Silv, Fight for Sound, Go Habs, Pressman, Loch Ness. What else we got in here? Bayou Drams. Hey, how you doing? Scrolling through here real quick. And I said Amy, and I'm sure some others will start to scroll in. I know Mike from Whisky Shenanigans. Mose Chun, thank you very much for tuning in. Mark Brown. Alrighty. And Jason, Mash and Drum. Sorry I missed you in Texas last week. So Texas is still very much on my mind. But I'll try not to talk about it too much because I'm going to get more into that next month. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to Texas month. The whiskeys were fantastic. The distilleries were fantastic. The people were fantastic. The weather was hell. The weather was terrible. The worst weather I've ever been to, driven in, flown into my life. Absolutely horrible. So let me set up the thumbnail for this live stream. So the last distillery I went to was Iron Root, which is near Dallas, or actually in Dallas. Had absolutely fantastic time. Met up there with my brain just went, Licorice Brothers and their mother. And of course, I get out the camera, I'm taking a lot of photos, asking a gazillion questions, because that's what I do. Shooting photography. I shot a video of them talking about the mash bill for their whiskeys. That'll be in one of my videos next month. That went really, really, really well. And then we went to the back of the distillery. They had the barrels, and we did some tasting and stuff back there. And earlier in the week, Scott had texted me, asked me if I was going to be at the distillery. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be there. But I didn't think anything further than that. And so coming out between the row of barrels, all of a sudden, I'm like shocked that I see Scott there. So anyway, Scott, so I want to thank you very much for meeting up with me. So what were you doing in town?
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. If I got time to join in, and I did tonight, last weekend, you were going to, actually in Denison, it's just north of Dallas, is Iron Root. You were going to Austin and then up to, and doing some distillery tours down there. And I was going to be in Dallas helping some family with a fence. And so if it was possible, I really wanted to try to get to Iron Root when you were there, just to see you. And you were there because you bid on, when we did the fundraiser for our colleague with pancreatic cancer, Iron Root offered up the distillery tour, with the private tasting and a bottle pick that you could do from, one of their casks in the barrel room. You had bid on that and won on it. So I thought, if it was possible, I would love to get down there while you was there on that tour and just meet up again. I mean, you were here in Wichita when we did the 5-year anniversary gathering. Had a blast, was great meeting you. So like I say, there was no guarantees I could make it, but I was trying to get plans in place in case I could make it. And I wanted to make sure you was going to be there. You had said, I think on a video or two, what your plans were, but like Twitter and Instagram, you weren't really saying anything. So I had to message you to make sure your trip was still a go.
Right.
So hence the message. Are you going to, actually, I think I asked you if you were going to be in Austin that weekend, and you were like, yep, going down, whatever, and doing whatever. I was like, okay, have a good time. Say hi to Rex and Daniel.
So, by the way, so those guys are absolutely fantastic, really sharp guys. So I'm going to have them on live, and we'll learn a little bit more background about the distillery and about their background. Those guys are really, really, really sharp. They're quite educated. Their mom, she's kind of very energetic, very fired up. I think she's so energetic and fired up. I think that's what gave them red hair. You know?
Yeah, that could be Marcia. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just a sweet, sweet, sweet lady, and super friendly and super hospitable. Just absolutely a fantastic time. So later on, after we tasted some more whiskeys and some more whiskeys and some more whiskeys, and then we had a fantastic lunch there. Really great Texas barbecue, and that barbecue bean recipe was awesome.
Yeah, those were good beans for sure. Yeah.
And usually you tend to talk more about the meat, but the beans were really, really, really good.
Yeah.
So so once you show them, see if you can show these guys the video, because you videoed meeting me, and it's kind of hilarious. So why don't you show these guys the video?
Yeah, let me get it up here. Am I through? Are you seeing my screen? We'll start it here. So I'm in the front part of the distillery, moving back towards the barrel room, and I can hear Marcia back there in the group.
There's a lot of interesting things going on that you didn't see 20 years ago. Everybody was just going to,
It smells good in here.
Thank you. Hey, oh my God. Oh, man. Wow. Freaking awesome, man. All right.
Anyhow, so I was funny because I was thinking about, gee, I wish someone had that on video. But that was it really made my day. I was really, really happy. That was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and I was hoping, like I said, I didn't know for sure if I was going to make it or not. So, I really didn't want to say anything or commit. And really, until Sunday morning, I didn't know if I was going to make it there or not. And then I kind of, was debating. And I wish I know Jason had plans to be there as well. I was hoping to meet up with him as well. He had a family emergency and couldn't make it. The Mash and Drum. So hopefully, I'm sure we'll still get to meet up someday. With Jason.
Definitely one of these days I want to meet up on Jason. I want to meet as many whiskey tubers as I can. And this last year I've actually met quite a few. But I'm hopefully when I go to London and Scotland, I'll be seeing like the whiskey friend Alan and some others as well. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, one of the things I've been wanting to do, which is the occasion for this Friday. And the challenge of I could have done this by myself, but I wanted to. It's better if you discuss this whiskey with other people, get feedback, different opinions, different angles and stuff. So I wanted to revisit the Ardbeg drum for several different reasons. One, how has it changed? Has it opened up? Because when I got the bottles, I wanted to be the first person to do a review. So I uncorked it, poured myself a glass, and started doing my intro, doing the photography. So I spent a couple of hours creating the video because I had no idea I would run into this thing. I was actually looking for something else when I came across these, doing the videos. And so within the 2 hours of doing the video and the music and doing all that setup for that, I had 2 glasses, probably about this much. So give it at least a little bit of time, but not much. So I've been wanting to get back into it, see how's it changed, how has it opened up, but also get another different perspective. And I kind of knew right off the bat that this would be not universally loved by everybody. People would have different perspectives, which was another reason why, rather than trying to flip the bottles and sell them, because I really wanted to see how different people reacted to it. I watch a lot of whiskey tubers, and I kind of know what people's preferences are in terms of whiskeys and stuff and take on things. So the Scotch for Dummies have reviewed it. Jason, Mash and Drum, has a bottle. He's doing the smart thing. He's actually working his way through it. Let it open up. Let's him spend some time on it. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what Jason thinks of it. My only the other thing I want to do is I want to give my perception of it before I heard another review, so I'm not prejudiced in my head. I've already got someone else's perception of it. But the Scotch for Dummies, the only one who really liked it was Mark. He gave it around a 3 at that other 4. The other guys were like 1.5. And then you guys you and Bart did your review, and you both were really favorable of it.
I liked it from the second I opened it, and I didn't know what to to expect just from some of the other reviews that were out there. I think some people may have been a little slanted towards it from when they heard it was rum casked. And I think a lot of people probably thought the rum was going to overpower it. So, I mean, we'll talk about that as we get going here. But yeah, and then when Bart and I shot the review, Bart hadn't had it. He had literally he'd literally poured a glass right before we went live to record. And I mean, I was kind of surprised by his impression as it as well. I didn't know what he would think of it, but he really digs it.
So one of the things is, so let's say if Ardbeg was going to go, rather than rum, they were going to do a heavy PX Pedro Jimenez sherry cask. That's what they were going to do. Before you get to the bottle, knowing Ardbeg and knowing the impact of sherry and the typical characteristics you get off of sherry, or even more so off of Pedro Jimenez, approaching the bottle, you would already have a ballpark idea probably what it's going to be like, right?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, ballpark. Yeah.
So, have you had any rum cast scotches before?
Two that I can think of off the top of my head. One is the Balvenie 14-year Caribbean cask, and then Glenfiddich Fire and Cane, which I pulled down as well.
So I have had the Balvenie. I haven't had the Fire and Cane. But I think that was probably another issue for a lot of people. Maybe people didn't have, or they had certain expectations, a profile already in their head. This is what it'd probably be like. And then they come to it, and when it doesn't meet their expectations, it's like, what? You know, it kind of throws them off.
Yeah. And I was looking too, because last week on Twitter, someone had posted a picture. Another distillery is doing a rum cask, and I can't remember who it was now.
Well, Balcones did one. In fact, I have a bottle of it.
Well, this was another Scotch that was doing it.
So Tom R who's in the chat. Hey, Tom. Tom R has one. I think he got one either right about the same time I did or shortly after, but I think he may have paid like maybe $20 less, if I recall correctly. And Tom said he liked it as well.
Yeah, I think it's good. And I was a little surprised because I didn't know what to expect. And I did think the rum would play a heavier influence on it. But I mean, on the nose right off the bat, to me, was classic Ardbeg.
Right. And
even moving into the palate with it, with the rum sweetness coming through. But still, I never pinned it down as being rum. I mean, I could tell it's sweet. But
well, so I get a tropical character to it. And when I think of rum or Caribbean, tropical Caribbean, so in that sense, it reminds me of generally of a rum climate and, terroir, if you want to use that word. That probably is going to be an overly used word. In that sense, it doesn't remind me of a rum in of itself, but it does make me think of a region where you would get rum from, though.
Sorry, I'm scrolling, still looking for this picture to see what it was. But.
Anyway, so it didn't remind me of a rum in and of itself, but sort of it did make me think of a region where rum would come from.
Yeah.
So, one of the tricks I learned is when Bart talks, you drink, and when you talk, Bart drinks, so that you don't have that dead sound thing going on there. And I've kind of learned that with live channels. I do the same thing when the other person I'm talking to is talking, I'm sipping, and then kind of do the other way as well. So other rum whiskeys that you've had, do you get a distinctive rum character off of those ones that you recall?
I get a hint, and I just remember Teeling's does Teeling small batches rum cast as well. I think, the Fire and Cane, I think, was probably the heaviest. I think I've had hints of rum on the Teelings and the Balvenie before, just slight hints. The Fire and Cane is probably the most rum heavy.
So the Balvenie, if I recall correctly, I'd have to go back and look at my notes. That one I actually didn't particularly like.
Which one?
The Balvenie.
Oh,
I think what I like this one, I think the smoke on this one helps make sort of the transition really well with the fruit notes and everything else. That's acts for me. It acts as sort of a catalyst to combine flavors, so that I'm getting it. It makes me think of, which is why I did the photography for the original video. You know, it looks like a Hawaiian beach kind of thing. This makes me think of luau. I get pineapple. You know, there's a savory. I get a savory note, so I think of maybe you're barbecuing a pig or something like that. A little bit of saltiness, which makes me think of or a little brininess, which makes me think of barbecuing a pig. That sort of sweet, savory notes of a pork note. And I think the smoke acts as a really good catalyst for me.
Yeah, that reminds me too. The Glenfiddich has a 21-year-old that has one of the finishes on it is a rum as well, because they actually someone had pointed out that Balcones made their own rum for their to season their barrels with, and Glenfiddich does the same. They have their own rum that they use to season their barrels with.
Right. Yeah. So in fact, I have, in fact, it's sitting right here. Just gotta hope I don't drop it. So this is, yeah, I can take it out of this. So this is a bottle I'll be reviewing from Balcones.
The brew area.
There's a bottle. It'll be in a video that Daniel and I recorded together. He had a bottle of Balcones that was just insane, and it was a sherry cask finish one. It was just it was just blowing my mind. So this is Balcones. This is a single malt whiskey rum cask finish. This is at 63.5% alcohol by volume. I know there's a major glare on that thing from the lights, but this is absolutely fantastic. And have you been to Balcones? You're that familiar with Balcones?
Have not. No, we've done several offerings from them. And I also, with Matt down there, Matt Zitrick, got to try. He had it's called the Brujeria, the sherry finish Balcones, and it is delicious.
It's kind of funny. They like to choose names that are hard to pronounce, just like the Scots do.
Yeah. Probably our way of getting back at them.
Yeah. Well, that's why you have Scott there to pronounce all the whiskeys for you.
Bart, you mean, or me?
Yeah. So anyway, so absolutely fantastic whiskey. Well, I'll just set this off to the side. I don't be messing with that one. So so you tasted it a couple times before you guys did your review, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And you liked it right off the bat. Do you think if we taste it now, is it any different now than you think when you originally tasted or since you've done your review?
I'm still on the nose. I haven't tasted it yet. I did warm my palate up with a little Lecheg.
Okay.
But I'm still, man, I just get a blast of Ardbeg peat, and there is a very nice sweetness, and it's almost probably hinging on swinging to rum. I mean, it's a nice tropical fruit, I would say, at this point.
Right. So I think the more the fruit and the tropical characteristics are coming out even more.
Yeah. But man, the Ardbeg peat, like I say, is still there.
So, which is, I think, one of the, and a lot of people commented on the Scotch for Dummies review is that was their first tasting of it. And so they're negative. A lot of people in the comment section said, hey, they really should let it open. And that's why I think Jason's pretty smart, and, he's working on it before he gives his review, so he can really spend some time with it. And so I've done live shows where I specifically mentioned this is just a neck pour. I'm doing an uncorking, and I'll do a second review later on. I would like to see those guys, and they're traveling. I think they're going to Whiskey Fest or something like that in Chicago, or they're going to Kentucky. No, I think they're going to Kentucky. Anyway, I would really like to see those guys go back to it. So, in fact, I invited Mark from the Scotch for Dummies to come on, but they're all busy. They're super tight. It would be great to see you and Bart and then those guys talk about this. I'd like to see you guys go back and forth to talk about this as well. That'd be interesting.
Now, Bart was busy, and I bet you can't guess what he's doing.
Let me use my psychic powers here. Let me do some channeling. He's playing board games.
He is. Yeah, I had a board game event tonight.
Oh, brother.
All right. Yep, I was getting ready to go in on the palate on this as well. So let's see what's coming out now. And I've got, there's probably 4 ounces gone, 4 to 5 ounces gone out of my bottle.
So mine's just breaking the shoulder. So right where my finger is. So I'm not that far into it.
Yeah, mine's a little bit lower than yours.
Okay.
Woo, man, just peat still. Good peat. Initially, that's on the first sip, that's 90% of my palate right now is peat.
See, I don't have, I get the peat there, but I have no problem immediately getting fruit and even a, almost like a mint character coming through as well, which I didn't get before.
Yeah, I went in second sip now. More fruit, more juicy. I would agree, a little bit of a clove, almost a mint. What's the tree? An evergreen?
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's or a little bit of the stuff they put in gin. Juniper.
Juniper. There you go.
Almost like a juniper. Almost like a little bit of a juniper. I wasn't getting that before. Hey, Robert Licorice is in the house. How's it going? And
hey, Robert.
Canadian Whiskey Smith is in the house. Alrighty. Yeah. So do you think it's really changed that much? Do you think from the time you first had it?
No, I don't think so. It's pretty reminiscent. I'm not detecting anything being that much different now.
So you think does reflect sort of a classic Ardbeg though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Definitely so.
What elements do you think in particular? Charred. I get like grilled pineapple and almost like tropical coconut and a melon. And I don't think those characteristics are so much classic Ardbeg. So what would you think is more of the sort of classic Ardbeg character to it?
No, the earthiness, the level of the peat, the depth of the peat, that earthiness, more of a mud type peat, if you ask me. The smoke, which is still real heavy in it.
Right.
Now, what was weird though, when Bart and I shot the review, he kept trying to get, and I still not necessarily, I don't get the banana that they advertise. And I was saying that in the review, and I was talking along, and I go, maybe I'd go with an old Dairy Queen banana split. I go, do you remember that? It was 3 scoops of ice cream with a banana, and then there was chocolate and strawberry and something else on it. I can't remember the third topping. Well, the third topping is pineapple. No, it's pineapple.
Oh, yeah. Well, I haven't been to a Dairy Queen in
somebody. Yeah, somebody in the comments pointed that out after the deal. Even I was like, yeah, no, I don't necessarily get pineapple per se. I'm getting a sweetness and blah blah blah, and even the banana. I was like, maybe a hint of banana, and then
I get a little bit of a black banana, like an overly ripe banana.
But, yeah, that's what Bart said as well.
Okay, right.
Well, he called it a ripe banana. I said, no, a ripe banana is yellow. When they're brown or black, they're overripe.
So I'm a big Ardbeg fan. I'm a fanboy of Ardbeg.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I've got a bottle waiting for me over there, either in Scotland or London. I think it's at Roy's house, waiting for me when I get over there. So how would you think in terms of a lineup of other Ardbegs, where would you kind of place it? So my favorite, turns out the easier to get. So you get the Ardbeg 10. I have the Anoa. I got the Corvecken, the Ugadal. I have the Grooves, of course, the Ardbeg Dark Cove committee release. I have the Kildalton, and I have the Perpetuum, and the Kelpie, I don't know what your Ardbeg collection is like, but where would you rank this in terms of the Ardbeg profiles? Where do you think you might put this in terms of how much you like it?
Well, I've only got the 10 and then the drum that's opened here. I've got a bottle of Dark Cove committee release that's not opened. All the other Ardbegs are over at Bart's. He's got most of them. And I think it's pretty close to the Grooves. I would like to try those side by side. A lot of people have commented that they really like the Grooves better. But the Grooves was a lot of tropical fruit notes, as well. So it would be interesting. I haven't done them side by side. I can tell you my least favorite was the Kelpie.
Okay. Did you try the Perpetuum?
No, I don't believe I've had that one. That one's older.
Yeah, that's actually the very first Ardbeg Day released one. Yeah, that's actually or the festival, or was it the festival of the Fischl? I think that was actually their very first time to do a Fischl, and that one was like smoke on top of smoke on top of peat on top of smoke, and I really had to get that one about halfway down through the bottle before I started getting something else. So that one required a lot of patience.
DH Silv too is asking if you're getting the Ardbeg tattoo.
I already did. It's on my ass. If you'd like to see it,
I think
I have the tattoo. I have their icon on one side, and then I have 46% ABV on the other one.
Well, I think that's a bottle of whiskey they're coming out with. The tattoo. Because then Tom R says that it's on Benny's has it for $3.49 a bottle, unless they're talking about something else. But I think they're talking about. I think that's a bottle that Ardbeg is coming out with. The tattoo.
You know what? I think I did see a picture of that. Well, by the way, so Matt, Whiskey Crusaders is in the house. I've been meaning to get back to you. I want to send you a coin. Just remind me. I've just got so much stuff going on. I'll forget. But Matt, I want to send you a coin, and I ran out of them. I was going to give him one because he was there as well at Iron Root Republic, and I was out of coins. I was going to give him one, so I felt kind of bad. Anyway, so we'll touch up later. I need to get your mailing address, and I'll send you one.
And Tom R actually says he likes the drum better than the grooves. So that might be that first person that I've actually heard say that. So
I would have to do side by side, which I think I might do right now.
And DH Silv says that they are talking about tattoos, and then that $3.49 was for a price on a Springbank. So yeah, your tattoo is still safe, Eric.
There we go. So, do you happen to have the grooves handy?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well,
just the 10.
Just for giggles, I'm going to pour myself just a wee bit, just out of curiosity. So my next question is, okay. So I don't know if we're gonna. So we're in, but so even though you don't have all these at home, in terms of the other Ardbegs you've tried, so I would put it. My favorite in terms of the main lineup is Corey. My favorite thus far overall, period, is the Ardbeg Dark Cove committee release. But I would probably go Corey. Forget price. I mean, just put price aside for the moment. I would probably go Corey, Ugadal. Excuse me, Dark Cove, Corey, Ugadal, and actually the 10. Actually, I really like the 10. This would probably up until this point, and Perpetuum would be last, and this would be second to the last. So I don't know if I prefer the drum more over the grooves. I'll be right back. Gotta get me a glass. Say hi.
I think the drum is committee release is pretty close to the grooves committee release. Like I said, I'd like to try those together side by side. Dark Cove committee release by far has been my favorite Ardbeg. It did very well. Well, it won our Pete Shootouts blind, which I was impressed with. It's been so, and the Corey Vrecken did very well in our blind shootouts as well, and so did the 10-year.
Yeah, Ardbeg Grooves for 2018 was my number 2 out of my top 10. Only beat out by the Bunnahabhain Fischl Moin Oloroso. And that was neck and neck. I mean, that was a close one.
But yeah, the 10 is still, I've got 2 bottles of the 10, matter of fact. I mean, it's hard to beat, especially for the price.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you're pouring. All I can do is Ardbeg. Actually, I'm going to go. I'll go Fire and Cane side by side with the Ardbeg drum.
Yeah, rum versus rum. That'd be interesting. So I haven't had that one. How much does that one go for?
Like $50.
Oh,
Now, and a lot of people have commented when you first pop the bottle, when you first pop the cork on the Fire and Cane, the peat is more present. It quickly diminishes for some reason. A lot of people have pointed that out. I noticed that as well.
so
now, and I'll tell you though, the peat isn't as strong in the Fire and Cane either. You know,
okay.
The peat's not going to compare to the Ardbeg. I can tell you that much.
So definitely the grooves is a little darker. It's got a slight ruby tinge to it. I actually get more red fruit notes. I don't get it. To me, it doesn't seem as tropical, which is sort of that red wine character to it.
Yeah, and Jeremy C is watching. He's drinking Fire and Cane right now. He bought it 2 weeks ago. Probably half as much peat now, he's saying, as when he first opened it.
I wonder why. I'd have to ask a distiller why. I tend to think that as a peated whiskey opens up, it's not that the peat goes away, is that it usually gets more integrated so that it's counterbalanced by other characteristics of the whiskey. And then the other thing is, of course, is you sort of start to get used to it. You become immune to it or deaf to it or whatever. So the other characteristics start coming out.
Yeah, the Fire and Cane is definitely 90% sweet, 10% peat. It's almost, well, I think it's just peated cask. Is it peated cask finished? I don't know that they peat any of their whiskey.
Oh. So Mash and Drum says, my next review is the Ardbeg drum. Cool. It's ready. I have had 3 pours. It's staying consistent now, but has changed from the first pour. Thanks, Jason. That's a great insight. Yeah, it would. I mean, he hasn't done his review yet, so I wouldn't expect him to come on. Although if he wouldn't mind to, I'd go ahead and send him the link. But it would be a administrative hassle at the moment. But I'd be really, really curious. Well, I would have to start fussing with emails and send him a link. But I might be able to, if he wanted to come on. But, hey, so Jason, just for the heck of it, if you wanted to, let me know, and I'll send you a link and bring you on. Get your impressions on this as well. So I think I like, and again, this is just sort of really quick. I think I like the Ardbeg drum more than I do the Ardbeg grooves. But that Ardbeg grooves is not the committee release. It's just a regular one. So it's probably an unfair comparison. But I did try the Ardbeg grooves. In fact, the whiskey shop where I bought this at, I've kind of got to know the owners a little bit. It's an independent store, family run. I was in there one time. In fact, the very first time I was there, and I was talking about my travels and the places I'd gone. And he just so happened to have the Ardbeg Grooves committee release, an open bottle under the shelf. So he pulled it out and he poured me one so I could try try them side by side. And to me, it was more of similar to the regular grooves, just but more intensified. Whiskey Crusaders, Matt says the drum is fantastic. It changed a lot after being open for a week, and that's kind of what I'm getting. So if anybody's done sort of a from the neck pour, got a perception of it, because Drew in particularly, the Scotch for Dummies was really, really harsh on it. And Andrew as well. They both were, and Andrew is probably more of the peat head out of all the 4 of them, the biggest peat head.
Definitely. Jeremy C is pointing out on the Glenfiddich Fire and Cane that it is made with peated barley. It's peated whiskey. They peat it to about the same level as Lagavulin, but then they cut it with non-peated Glenfiddich before they put it in the rum casks.
Okay, right.
Yes, that's interesting as well.
All right, so I'm going to keep the kids entertained. I'm going to try to send Jason a link and see if I can bring him in.
Yeah. Nice comment from Scott F. It just came in, and I haven't seen Scott F. tune in before. He says, brand new whiskey drinker here. What are your thoughts on Benchmark bourbon and Pendleton Canadian whiskey. I really enjoy Pendleton, but Benchmark is very affordable. I haven't had Benchmark, so I don't know. I have had Pendleton, a very good, Canadian whiskey. Generally comes off a little bit lighter, a little bit smoother. But sorry, no knowledge of Benchmark. George Kaplan is drinking Kelpie tonight. It's quite nice. When I first opened the bottle, I was disappointed and could have given the bottle away without a care. Now it's oily and it shines on the finish. And I think that was my problem with the Kelpie when I first, and the only time I've had it was just really briny, really seaweedy, really peaty. There was not much sweetness to it. A lot of times with my peats, if they're heavy, I like a good ex-bourbon cask finish that comes through, or a sherry cask adding some vanilla notes and some sweet notes, maybe some tropical notes to it. Helps with the peat. And the Kelpie just didn't have any of that. So, but it's been a long time since I've had it. And I know Bart has about 10 bottles of different Ardbegs that he wants to do a whole lineup shootout of, including several old committee releases.
So I just sent Jason a link. Hopefully he'll be coming on any second here. So when I first had the Kelpie, it was real early, because you guys have been doing whiskeys a lot longer than I have. I've since April, 3 years. So I had it very early in my journey. So my initial impressions for being really new to whiskeys. And then I had it just this past year again, returning to it with that sort of progression in my understanding of whiskeys and what I like about whiskeys and the development of my palate. When I had it again, I was much more impressed with Kelpie the second time around.
Yeah, I think a couple of people have commented and pointed that out, that it was better after the first dram or two.
Just looking to see if Jason pops in. Hopefully the link I sent him works. I'm not the most technical guy when it comes to dealing with this kind of thing. So I can't remember if you answered my question because my brain's like, So where would you place this in terms of all the Ardbegs you have?
Well, that's what I was talking about. I think it's there with the Grooves committee release. You've got Ardbeg Dark Cove ahead of it. Corey Vrecken could be up there as well. I think Drum CR comes in there close to the Grooves. CR. It's been long enough since I've had Oogie Dale. I hate to place it. And I know we had it early on as well a few years ago. I've heard later, newer releases just aren't as good as some of the older batches on the Oogie. But I think the Drum is up there.
And the reason why I ask is for the consumer, for the buyer, I think with the reviews coming out and the different perceptions of it, I think some people might have been a little bit hesitant. They're like, man, particularly after the Scotch for Dummies, if they watch Scotch for Dummies, they might have been a little bit shy. I don't have to pull the trigger. And the thing is, with bottles like this, you have a narrow. If you have it on a shelf at a local shop, you've got a narrow window to grab one because they're gonna disappear.
Yeah,
they don't stick around. And I think some people, because they're going, I paid $150 plus tax, and then shipping it out. The people, I don't remember who I shipped it to. Some people, I don't know. They paid for postage, which bumps it up even a little bit more for postage. But I think some people have been paying like $130. I think Tom R was somewhere around $130. The sort of market variance across the country. But I think some people are going to be hesitant to pull the trigger when they see it. But I would say if you're getting it from Master Drum says send it to him again. So I would say if you can get it, this is just my personal opinion. If you can get it for $130, pull the trigger. If you're trying to fill in a collection and it's going for $150, pull the trigger. But if you're just looking for a really good whiskey for $150, I might not.
I think it's still worth it. That's probably top end. I like paying $120 to $130 for it. We had a fan in Texas that found us a couple more bottles in the $120 range. which is to me is a great buy. And DH Sylph too is asking how the mouthfeel is on the drum. He's with the Dark Cove. He got a really nice oily mouthfeel, and he wants to know if the drum has it.
That's an excellent point, because that's something easy. It's easy to forget about the texture and structure of a whiskey, and I do get a silky character to it as well. I don't get like heavy weight. I don't get a lot of major bite, and it kind of glides across the palate. So, Jason, you in the house?
I am in the house. I don't know if you can hear me. I have to use my phone
audio.
to get in.
I hear you.
Audio.
Oh, you can hear him? I can't. Which is a YouTube. YouTube's been having problems with Hangouts, and some people can hear, others can't. So if you'll have to let me know what he's saying if he asks something.
You can't hear me at all?
That's
weird. YouTube's been having a lot of problems.
Yeah.
By the way, so I have 2 videos coming out shortly. One is on whiskey finishing, which actually relates to some recent bourbons I've had, and it relates to a video that actually Jason should be coming out shortly, talking about finished bourbons. My video is just on finishing whiskey in general. I have another video coming out. It's of particular interest to YouTubers, and it has to do with a lot of recent changes on YouTube, the restrictions, the new guidelines, and there are some YouTubers, I won't name any names, who could be in some trouble. They could be in violation of certain guidelines. So that should be coming out probably on Sunday. But people, if you're a YouTuber, you're probably going to want to check that out. It's had to do a little bit of research and a little bit of interaction with YouTube itself. But there are some changes coming up that people need to be on their toes about. So, Jason, thank you very much for tuning in.
Hey, thanks for inviting me real quick.
So, Scott, can you hear him?
No. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Scott. Sorry, can't hear me.
The only way he could hear is if he had his cell phone on and then listened to you live on the channel.
And I was thinking about that, and I just don't have any. I don't have any headphones down here for.
Right.
I can run. Well, I can run. Let me go. Let me run and go grab one.
Okay. All righty. So, hey, Jason. Sorry I was able to meet you up with you in Texas, but I think you would have loved the weather. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's about the only thing I didn't miss that you had talked about. But as some of you may know, I had had a little bit of a medical scare with my grandmother, so I had to actually leave. I was in Denver for work. I had to leave early and come back and get down to Florida. You know, it was a whole fiasco, but she's doing better. She's doing better now. So hopefully next time you have a meetup, I'll definitely be there.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, we had a great time. I don't know if you caught the very beginning of this video or when the live. Did you catch the beginning of the live stream?
Yeah, I saw the surprise video. That was awesome.
I was just like so blown away by Scott showing up. It really surprised me. I tell you, so Texas, I think, in terms of quantity of production, but if other distilleries can do on the level of Balcones and Iron Root in Texas, I would say to Kentucky, you got to look out, because these guys do some fantastic stuff, and they're having some unique profiles, just absolutely superb whiskeys. So have you had a lot? I don't want to get off onto Texas too much, but have you had a lot of experience with Texas?
Lately, I have. I have a bottle of the Iron Root Harbinger. Josh Galladay over from Cast Strength. He sent me a bunch of stuff from Balcones and a couple of other really cool. I think Andalusia is another one out of Texas, and a couple of others that are really unique. It's unique stuff. And I got to say, I was in Colorado. I had kind of a similar experience. I'm going to be doing a whole episode just on Colorado whiskeys. They're doing a bunch of really great stuff there in Colorado as well. Aside from Stranahan's, they're doing a lot of cool stuff. So
it's funny because I was thinking about doing an extra trip and going out to Denver, because Stranahan's near Denver, and there's I don't know, maybe a dozen or so in that neighborhood.
Yeah, there's Stranahan's, there's AD Laws, there's a few others. One of my favorites was 291, which I wasn't able to get to, but they do everything by hand. They don't source anything. Everything's handcrafted. It's a really cool experience. So, and they make some great bourbons and whiskeys.
Right now, things are kind of strapped. I'm gonna have to move. If video wise, it'll look exactly like this, but I'll be moving at the end of the month. So which is gonna be a hassle. So right now I've just kind of got with work and everything else, got too much going on to make it. But I definitely want to make it to Colorado. So you've been listening to our discussion, listen to our comments and interaction. So what are your sort of impressions? I know you have and then you have a review coming out. So what are your sort of thoughts on it in comparison to other Ardbegs you've had and between your initial tasting it and then later on, what do you think of it?
Well, when I first opened it, I agree with Scott's assessment. It was all Ardbeg to me. It was ashy. It was peaty. It had that muddy, earthy character to it, but there was a sweetness there that I was trying to pull out. It just wasn't as, I think it surprised me a little bit. I thought it was going to be a little bit more prevalent on the nose than I guess it was kind of in my head that, okay, it's finished in rum. I'm going to get some dark brown sugars, but that did not make itself to be known until about the third pour I had out of this. But for me, like, you know, and Scott mentioned it before, it said there's hints of banana. I got no banana in there at all. I definitely got it.
You get some rotten bananas and you need to try those and see what you get.
I definitely got a sweetness to it, but it was more of a sugar sweetness. So I was getting just more, not so much of that barbecue bacon flavor that I get in an Ardbeg. I was getting like a barbecued fruits and barbecued like peaches type vibe to it. So as it opened up, that's what I started getting more and more. But all the tropical notes that they kind of denoted that was supposed to come out of this, I really haven't gotten a lot of that. I think I've gotten hints of it, but it's the rum, in my opinion, just kind of touches the whiskey just enough to make a slight impression, but it's not overpowering the Ardbeg peat at all.
So something I meant to ask Scott. So I'll go back to Scott for a second. So Scott, how much experience do you have with rum in and of itself?
Not very much. A few bottles.
So what about you? So for me, my rum experience is basically studying for exams. So I had several different rums. Most of them were minis. And then I have one bottle of Zacapa, which basically goes in my eggnog at Christmas. So there are other people out there who have a lot more experience with rum. I think Tom is a big Tom Marr. I think he's a big rum fan. So actually, I wish I could bring Tom Marr to get Tom Marr on here as well. Particularly someone. Yeah. Okay. So Tom says he's a rum whore. So in one aspect, he's kind of the guy I probably want to talk to since has a lot more familiar with rum. I'm kind of curious, and maybe just go ahead and he has 80 bottles of rum. Tom Marr has 80 bottles of rum. You know, Tom, if you get too many bottles of rum, the pirates might start showing up at your house. So I'm kind of curious if Tom, just make a comment. How much percentage-wise does it really show a rum character in the whiskey? I'm kind of curious because I do. What about you, Jason? You have much rum experience?
I don't have a ton of rum experience, but I've been drinking some more rum here and there. Just based on people giving me bottles. I have a bottle of Foursquare rum, which is really delicious. I have a couple of bottles of a plantation rum, but I'm already knowing or already kind of seeing that I prefer the natural sweetness compared to all the added sugar rums. It's just overly sweet. When it has a natural sugar balance to it, those rums to me are absolutely delicious. And you're seeing more. I just reviewed the Blood Oath Pact 5, which has an 8-year-old bourbon in there that's finished in rum cask for 6 months. You're seeing a lot of that rum influence all throughout whiskeys and finishing.
I think if you have a general familiarity with rum, that's enough background to detect whether or not you're getting any good rum notes out of this at all.
I'll tell you, there's one note I got in the Ardbeg drum that I'll save for my review, but I'm curious in the comments after the review if anyone else got it, because there's one specific note that I got in the drum that was different than any other Ardbeg I've had.
So when's your video coming out?
Monday.
Okay, Monday. So looking forward to it. All right. Yeah, looking forward to that one. So one of the things I'm in doing this, because I thought to myself, I was reviewing this, I'm thinking this is the one that the perception is going to be all over the map. People are going to love it. People are going to hate it. Some people are going to on the fence. Some people are going to think it's not worth the amount of money it costs. And which for me, in one sense, it made it more interesting. You know, if everybody's going, it's fantastic, everybody's saying the exact same thing, then there's no dialogue, there's no controversy, there's no drama over the drum. You know, the controversy makes for good conversation. You know, and different perceptions. And I think you're whacked, man. No, this is good. Oh man, no, this is fantastic, man. This is the best we've ever had. That's actually a more interesting conversation than everybody just sort of nodding their head along with it. So when somebody sent these out to Heather, I was really interested to hear what other people have to think about. So I think I hear a dog's claws scratching there.
Yeah, that's my dog. I'm sorry. He was laying down with me in the whiskey room, and now he just got up because he's sick of me. Hey, can Scott hear me yet?
Scott, can you hear?
I'm just getting Jason now, about 10 seconds behind on Jason.
Oh, okay.
Guess. Woo, excuse me. Woo. I just heard a weird noise. What was that?
Sorry, I got a text message because your Hangout invite came through on my phone.
It sounded like a robot farting.
Oh, you gotta love YouTube. You gotta love this technology.
I think Nightbot is in the house. She shouts. When she farts, she sounds kind of like that.
Now I gotta tell you, I did just I poured a little bit of the Ardbeg 10. I did have the drum and the Fire and Cane from Glenfiddich. Night and day difference, not even close. So I drank all of my drum. I poured a little bit of the Ardbeg 10. I've tasted it after the drum. Literally the same peat, but take the tropical notes, take those sweetness notes, add them to the Ardbeg 10, and you got the drum. Which,
it's funny, I'm getting two little things here from Jason. So which brings us to the next point. In terms of quality price ratio, for me, the Ardbeg 10 is every Scotch whiskey out there. In fact, for me, it even beats the quality price ratio of the sacred All Hail Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I think it has a higher quality price ratio because I can get it for 46, and I was talking to someone today who got it for like 42. So if you take an Ardbeg 10, if I'm spending my money, you can almost get, depending on where you're at, 3 Ardbeg 10s for 1 Ardbeg drum. So if you had a choice to turn quality price ratio, which one would you do?
You know, I know I do that. We do that. With that, though, I hate to see it. I mean, look at that. I mean, look at the whiskey that's in the bottle. Is it worth the $120 you paid for it? I think so. I don't think anybody that spends that is going to be well, some people are disappointed. Some aren't. We can take any whiskey. If I grab this Port Charlotte 10 and I say, I bought this and I love it and I think it's worth it, someone's going to say, why would I pay $70 for that when I can get Ardbeg 10 for $50? I can review Lagavulin 16 and I'm going to say, God damn, this is good. It's
right.
$90. And
right.
Someone's going to say, why would I buy that when I can get X for right. so-and-so? So just look at the whiskey in the bottle. Right. Is it good?
Right.
Is it worth it?
I ask questions not for me, but for the viewers. Because for the budget whiskey buyer who isn't building these sailing collections like I have, and I'm sure my collection is nowhere near, or my whiskey library, I should say.
Yeah. Well, no, that wasn't because of the question you asked. I mean, it's one of those recurring questions you always get. Every video you post, somebody says, well, why would I spend X amount on that when I can get Y for whatever amount? I mean, and we do it as well sometimes. I try not to, but it's like, hey, just look at don't compare it to other whiskeys. Just, is it worth the price you paid?
Right. Jason keeps tweaking his camera. I'm not sure what he's got going on.
I'm using my phone and my battery's dying, so I have to plug it in there close to the wall.
Oh, what a bummer. So because that's the thing is, there are some. I always have to bring wine in the conversation because that's what I do. There are some wines that quality price ratio. Maybe they're overpriced, but they have something unique to them that it's that uniqueness that makes me go ahead and spend a little bit of money on it more, even though quality price ratio might not be as high, but they've got something unique to offer. And that uniqueness, that one little element, is the reason why I'm buying it. And so the same thing with this one is this has a unique profile. It's not just a standard run-of-the-mill, typical Islay peated whiskey. It's got a unique character to it that sort of gives me a broader understanding of Ardbeg, what they have the ability to do, and what they have the ability to offer.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think it's to everyone's taste. I mean, I know a couple of guys that got the Ardbeg drum committee release, and they're absolutely in love with it. They think it's the greatest thing since that they put out in a long time. But for me, if I was thinking about, I think if I got posed that question, like you said, Eric, if I was going to buy either one bottle of this or 2 or 3 bottles of Ardbeg 10, I'll probably lean towards the 10. But that's just me. I'm a big fan of the Core of Yekin, to be honest. That's probably my favorite bottle I've had besides the Dark Cove.
Right. I totally agree with it. So Canadian Smith Whiskey, he's responded to Bayo Drams. He says, I think the deeper you go down the whiskey rabbit hole, the more you're willing to splurge a little. Mm-hmm. Because you're on a journey. There's a bigger expression. There's more things to explore. And if I didn't buy it, I'd always be wondering, what is that like? I want to try that one. I want what that thing got to offer. Particularly if I ever have another rum finished whiskey, I would always be curious. I would really like to try the Ardbeg drum and see what they can do with a rum cask.
I don't think Jason is talking now. I can't see.
Okay, no, you're good. You're good.
Okay. I like say him in there's about 10 seconds behind hearing what he's saying, but and we're a little bit different in our roles where we're reviewing whiskey. So I run out and I pick up Brooklady beer barley, and it's $80. I look at it. Okay, I spent $80 on this. Was the whiskey, is it good? Was it worth the $80? I think I'm getting better at not comparing it to other releases or other whiskeys and saying, how does it compare there? Unless it's just way off. I spend $80 on this and I've got expectations. Does it meet those expectations or not?
Right. I think for me, because I think there's in terms of what I want and what I like, and I for most part, I'm not chasing the latest trends. The latest thing, hey, I think it'd be cool for me to do Islay month. It'd be cool for me to do bourbon month. It'd be cool for me to do Texas month. June is going to be probably one of my deepest technical months. It's going to be whiskey summer school month, and I'm doing it because I have an exam in July in Scotland, and so I'm going to study. But I can take my studies and turn it into videos. So July is going to be super technical. I will do some whiskey reviews. But I also know a lot of people are not going to want to watch that kind of stuff. But I also know so what? That's what I want to do. That's part of my exploration. That's part of my journey. So I'm going to go do it anyway. And if someone wants to follow on, that's great. Hey, Captain 3D, how you doing? He's also a Bay Area native. But it's sort of that same thing is whether I like this or not, I want to explore it or not. But I also sort of have to sort of a little bit think about my audience and go, okay, what is my audience? Try to figure out your demographic, my audience, what they like, don't like, and how might they respond to it. And just at least answer the question that is always on everybody's mind is the quality price ratio. And I always think of things in terms of QPR as well.
Yeah, that's the biggest question I've gotten lately in my reviews, just doing kind of the price. Do I think it's worth it? Do I think it's, how does it compare to others? And I think people are really, people are very cognizant of what they're spending, especially on whiskeys. It's, for us, we see a brand new whiskey and we want to, if it's $100, we're grabbing it because we want to taste it, review it. I think we have a little bit different perception of what's sitting on the shelf and what's not. Other people that aren't reviewing, they want to get the best bang for their buck and see if it's worth it or not. So I think it's a very important part of what we do to add to the reviews as well.
Right. Well, so, and just having come off of bourbon month, when you think of bourbon, and my last video was a live stream where I talked to, on certain points on Scotch versus bourbon. The biggest issue, besides the flavor profile being different from Scotch, is the quality price issue between bourbon and Scotch. And there's a whole lot of people, it's just easier, more affordable. They don't have to fight with the wife as much in terms of spending money on whiskey if they're buying bourbon over Scotch.
Who fights with their wife over whiskey prices?
I ain't got one no more.
I don't have to fight with anyone.
Anyway, so hey,
I don't have to fight with anyone, thankfully.
So we're hitting the top of the hour. I kind of like to keep live stream to about an hour. So I like to wrap things up by talking about what people have got going on, what's coming up on the individual channels. I think everybody who's watching probably is already a subscriber to you guys' channels. But if you guys haven't subscribed to Scotch Test Dummies, I mean, by all means, definitely should. And the Mash and Drum, if you guys aren't already subscribed, you should definitely check them out. So whatever I got coming up over the next couple of weeks, I'm packing boxes. Tomorrow I'm packing boxes, so I'm getting ready to move. But the scenery won't change. It'll look exactly like this when I get reset up. I've got, so coming up within the next couple of days, I got a video on finished whiskeys. It's more of informational. I've got another one on, it's particularly addressed to whiskey tubers, but if you're a viewer and you want to know what's going on, why some of your favorite whiskey tubers might need to make a change. So I got that'll probably be coming out on Sunday. I'm going to be doing a re-review of About Blair. Coming up. I have a lot of topical videos coming up for the rest of this month, just issues that I want to address. So there won't be formal reviews per se. And then that'll lead me into Texas month. And I'm just really, really looking forward to Texas month. And I'll put out a whole video on introducing that. So Scott, you guys got anything going on? I know you guys like to do these shootouts and stuff like that. You guys got anything going on?
No, we don't have too much in the works. We're kind of just sitting back, taking it easy. May 12th, we leave for 2 weeks to go to Ireland and Scotland. So we're looking forward to that. And Roy, we're going to be, we'll leave on the 12th, which is a Sunday. Through that next Friday, we are in Ireland. Friday morning, we're flying up to Glasgow, where Roy's going to pick us up and then tour us around Scotland till the next Friday. So he's planning some stuff in Glasgow on Friday and Saturday, I believe. So looking forward to that.
I kind of feel sorry for Bart being on a plane, unless you guys fly first class.
For 10 hours, 12 hours.
Well, he's so tall. I mean, with Delta, my knees are up against the seat in front of me. I'm only 5'9", 5'10" on a good day. So whenever I see someone who's really tall, I kind of go, ooh, that's going to be a hard flight.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a long trip. And DH Silva's asking, we'll be doing hopefully plenty of live streaming. We'll be doing a lot of recording and stuff there as well, both Ireland and Scotland. And hopefully getting some videos posted while we're there and after as well. So
really looking forward to that. And you've got to try the haggis when you get.
Yeah, I've had domestic haggis before and liked it. So yeah, it'll be good to get some homeland haggis.
I think you'll like it. Hey, so Jason, what you got coming up?
I have a lot of reviews that I'm catching up on after doing all the March Madness Bracket Championship. So that took a lot of time and effort. So I have a lot of bottles that are coming up, including Ardbeg Drum. I have the new Michter's Barrel Strength Rye coming up as well. That review. Also, William Heaven Hill 16-year. I'll be reviewing at a great bourbon out of Heaven Hill. I have a couple of interviews I have lined up. I'm hoping to get that done in Kentucky, including my next episode of Off the Still. I'm trying to get over down at Wilderness Trail in Danville, Kentucky. So I'm working on that to do that interview. Those guys are doing some amazing stuff. And then that's pretty much it. And also, as you mentioned, Eric, I'll be doing 2 episodes on some it's just some finished bourbons. Because it's been a big topic, and I kind of want to go through about 8 different ones and pick out which ones are my favorite. So I'll be doing that.
I learned a lot from my whiskey tuber brothers. I really appreciate it. So you got anything coming up on from your Denver trip as well?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be doing a live stream at some point, tasting some different whiskeys out of Colorado, and I'm also going to be taping the blind tasting that Cast Strength sent me for all the Balcones tasting. So that's going to be pre-recorded, and they kind of give me an envelope. I'm going to see what my favorite is, and I'm going to find out what my favorite Texas whiskey is. So that'll be fun.
Balcones and Iron Root, they're enough to make me want to move to Texas. even though the weather sucks, the humidity. Anyway, but other than that, it'd be fantastic. So hey,
wait, well, Eric, what'd they say about Texas, about the weather and whiskey and weather and people?
Well, I don't know. Crappy weather makes good whiskey.
Yeah. Well, the weather's good for whiskey, but terrible for people.
Exactly. Hey, Bourbon Insane is probably live right now. So you want to go check that out if you guys haven't already. So we're gonna hang this up there, brothers. Thank you very much for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. I had a fantastic time. That was great dialogue, and I had a fantastic time getting back into the Ardbeg drum. If people out there have ability or availability to get one, and you can get one at a decent price, I would say go for it. Pull the trigger. Alrighty, so guys, have a great weekend and cheers.
Cheers, everyone.